Welcome. We are counting down to Operation Nemesis. I am CCP Monty, joined by CCP Rattati and CCP Collins.
Hello.
Is that a new short?
That is fresh on, just for this podcast.
When are we getting the Vanguard Collins themed Hawaiian shirt?
I've been lobbying for one for a very long time. Maybe next FanFest if we're lucky.
So I know some people, and I'm pretty sure if we get enough pressure, like community pressure.
Oh, okay. So it's them. You get to choose.
I mean, they're enablers.
Yeah. I want to be enabled. I want to wear
Yeah.
I have a design in mind.
Oh.
Perfect design. So my brother got a shirt with his kids' faces.
Mm-hmm.
Really just gauche. Really terrible colors and everything. We could do that with the
VIPs.
The dust helmets.
Oh.
Like,
Oh, okay.
we use them with Discord. We use them all the time.
We make the pants with the VIP faces.
Yeah. Full one. It's not even a shirt anymore. It's just a one piece. A Vanguard mankini.
Tickets to FanFest are on sale. That's why. And if Collins, yeah, no, that's not a picture I want to have in my head right now. And that's why we are here to talk about something we won't be able to do anything now. It's just CCP Collins in a mankini. That's the only thing. So, Rattati, were there a lot of mankinis in Dust? No. But the reason we're here, and I'm just going to be very honest here. I'm really interested, and I was looking forward to doing this podcast because one of probably the second most asked questions we get as CCPers after when walking stations is bring back Dust. I wasn't around playing console shooters when Dust was out. My mom probably wouldn't allow me to use it enough for something. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, Dust is a legacy game. It was huge. It was ahead of its time. It did a lot of things, and people that got into it absolutely loved it. So what are we doing with Vanguard that makes it this spiritual successor to Dust?
Good question. And it's going to take a lot of explanations, and maybe I don't get it right, but
great that this is a podcast, not on
exactly.
linear, broadcast somewhere.
So I think the idea around Dust when it started was really, can we create a world where pilots fight with infantry together towards like a single goal. That's the kind of like the absolute core. And can we make it feel immersive? Can we make it feel it in as a part of a world, and not just like saying it is, actually making it so. And a lot of investment went into trying to make it as authentic and real as possible.
And we're talking about what, 12 years ago?
Yeah. So if you count when it started, in 2007 when I started, we already had prototypes investment into that game. So that's more than 20 years ago. So when the actual idea had started, and like how it came to be is a completely different story as well. We could go into that, but going on PlayStation, making it in China, these were all decisions just made at that time. You can question them now or have opinions on them. Those are just things that happened. No one could guess how technology would advance when the PlayStation 4 would come out, whatever. It was very ambitious, let's just say that. But it was really all came about by just, can we make an awesome experience as an infantry person in New Eden? That's the core of it. A lot of the game makers were ex-DICE. They came from Battlefield 2142, actually, which explains a lot. But also some EVE devs, etc. So the DNA of the game is really hardcore, kind of conquest game mode, big vehicles, big guns, all that. Halo as well. So the
I
game,
like Halo.
the devs were ex Halo, ex Battlefield 2142.
Were you an Xbox kid?
No, but there was just something about Halo 3. It just that was all me and my
I
friends played.
never played Halo. I've never played a second of Halo.
Wow.
I should have probably, but I'm a Battlefield guy through and through. So I played Battlefield since the original one. So all that history. So in 2012, we're basically making a game. I'm playtesting at home on my PlayStation. As one of the few people was playing from Reykjavik into the Shanghai servers because I loved the idea. I loved the idea coming from Battlefield into this game, saying, okay, what, like, endlessly ambitious. This is awesome. It's science fiction. It's the best game mode, like 2142, Titans, spaceships combined with Battlefield. So this is the perfect game to me. And I went through learning controllers to be able to play because I never touched a controller before I played Dust. So I'm playing at home and then basically just playing more, and we release and we go live and all that. Like that's history. But the game was basically incredibly ambitious and obviously full of issues. We had, like, let's say, a medium-sized team, I would say. We hadn't shipped an FPS before, and we were doing absolutely insane things on the PlayStation. So one of the first free-to-play games ever on the PlayStation. Multi-server, multiple PSN regions, single server connection to the EVE TQ server. We had the basically what's now API, but it was called Crest back in the day, to be able to communicate between those games. All of the things that we've basically improved since then. But that's the game that was made. I would say a flawed masterpiece is probably the kind of simple way to explain it. And I think hindsight 2020, if it had been on PC from the get-go, it would have probably stumbled through all of those issues over time, and kind of built on that legacy. It just kept building, improving, etc.
I think it's really interesting you said that, because you said a flawed masterpiece. There's something, and this is very genuine. This is not some, I'm at CCP talk, but when I went to my first FanFest, especially as a CCPer, and people came to have these chats, and this is just last when Collins was on stage introducing us to, what's up ahead in Vanguard. People that were Dust players, they spoke about Dust in a different tone they would like just to a game that they played once.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they were team Dust.
Yeah.
They wanted Dust. That was their FPS kind of. And I mean, it's what happens to EVE players if you get immersed in New Eden, and that's basically what we're giving them here, and what you guys were doing back in 2014 as well.
Yeah, it basically became loyalists or evangelists, and most people have this game. Like, some people talk about Zelda this way, or whatever, Ocarina of Time, or just like the game, the best game ever, if only it had, or whatever. So we actually, this industry has a lot of ways to tap into this nostalgia. Like, you've seen Skyrim being like remastered like 1 billion times.
Vanilla is no longer a flavor or a yeah,
exactly. So you basically, like, there's ways for people to tap into nostalgia sometimes if the attention and the audience is big enough to basically make it worthwhile. So I think we have this group of people who really love the game, who like miss it and would like to play it again. And I'm one of those people. I would love to be able to play Dust514 again. But I also recognize that there were a lot of things that we could have done better or improved over time. And if it had been a live service game for like longer, and we'd had more time, the last 1 year saw a lot of improvements, and or even 2 years on Dust. A lot of balancing, a lot of new things, but we were limited completely by technology at the time. We had evolved out of the Unreal Engine because we had modded the engine, so we couldn't take updates. So we were kind of locked in a version of Unreal that was kind of like dated, I would say. It didn't have nav mesh, so we couldn't add NPCs. We had to make custom nav mesh. A lot of, again, things that were made, decisions that were made, but we kind of were stuck with them at that time. So we were basically in a box. We couldn't add more suits or more weapons because the PS3 didn't have enough memory to load it in. So we were basically in this. Regardless, it was very big, and it represented the vision of what it feels to be an infantry in game in New Eden. Vanguard is also that. It represents a vision of what it means to be an infantry in New Eden. And I would say that Vanguard, what we have today, has the potential to become much greater than Dust514. Because in reality, Dust514 was a lobby shooter between two teams, A and B, playing Conquest game mode. And that's basically it. It had vehicles, amazing vehicles. It had economy. It didn't have crafting, something that we've added. It didn't have prox chat. It had really bad performance at times. And I can list everything that we wanted to have in Dust.
Yeah, you're basically saying Vanguard is the game that Dust wanted to eventually become when the technology would allow it to.
Exactly. With more links, with more economic links to EVE, with more game modes, with PvE, etc. All of the things that we have in Vanguard today are things that the player base of Dust desperately wanted into Dust at the time, and we couldn't fulfill that. The main difference, I would say, is vehicles and social affiliation between basically being able to be in a corporation with EVE players, etc. So kind of this feeling of being in a part of something bigger than just a lobby shooter. So Dust was a lobby shooter, but it felt like a universe. And I think that's a different, that's a feeling that people remember. It just felt big. It felt impossible. And we can do that. We can absolutely tap into that. And we can do it as well. And we could do vehicles as well. We'd rather just make sure that the FPS, the performance, sandbox, crafting, tutorial for new players, all of these things are really well set, because adding a vehicle to a PvP game mode isn't incredibly hard. It's hard. It's expensive. It's difficult. And it needs to be balanced differently. But it's not like completely unknown. We would know how to do it. But getting this core is, I think, more important, and is more important for like growth and like kind of a healthy player base, being able to do all kinds of things, more versatile behavior. A lot of people were tired at the end of just like, okay, I'm just gonna lobby, grind it for ISK, get more suits, grind for ISK. I've kind of like at the end of learning all of the skills, etc. So I think the most important thing is just to take everything that was good, kind of deal with history, say, we're not going to do vehicles now. It might be, it's not out of the question, but let's get everything here really good and then build on that.
I mean, let's also look into it. It's like the 9v9 mode in Vanguard is definitely there to appease that feeling of, you made it sound like a chore, but like, you know, sometimes you just want to drop into a match.
I used to play it so much. And you can basically do the same thing if you want to grind reputation. You play it, but you play it for a faction, and then you get like faction standings and reputation and LP and different items in the store or whatever. Like that is very easy also to kind of extend. But if the shooting isn't fun, if the enemy is, if the NPCs are dumb, like if it's not stable, like all of those things become more flawed. And I'd rather have a really polished thing at the center.
Collins, when you go with the team here, just on a daily basis, how much can you tap into just the history and the knowledge that the team has when it comes, the Dust team had and has within CCP now, just for those questions that come up and like, we tried this, why didn't it work, or why did it work?
Yeah, well, I think even before I joined, there was a lot of the the history of Vanguard is linked inexplicably all the way through from Dust514 getting shut down and the different projects that existed there through Nova and into Vanguard, right? So when I joined, it was already very clear, with Snorri's Rattati as my boss, just how important it was that throughput was continued, in the sense that there is a community to service there. There is, you say it's the second most asked thing is let's give them that. We're not just going to go, pull Dust and remake it. We're going to create something that we've always wanted it to be, but servicing and serving this out to the existing Dust community is a big part of what we want to do, right? And
let's also face it, when you ask for something that was the greatest thing, 12, 15 years ago, you're probably not going to love it as much now, but you want that feeling. You want the evolution of that, basically.
Yeah, it's like, and
I tried CS 1.6 the other day.
Yeah, vanilla.
Wow. I should have. It's like never meet your hero.
There is with anything. There's
the only really old FPS that I can play is Action Quake, because it was just so ugly. The way you played it, you had the config all set up and everything, that it still looks the same and feels the same and everything like that. That's the only really old FPS I can play.
Just
it's the same.
Global illumination at -100.
It feels like I'm just
fluorescent
playtesting blockouts, basically.
Yeah. It was pure gameplay. Pure gameplay.
But
one of the best FPSs ever made.
Oh, 100%.
Same with me with Unreal Tournament. Like just going back and still doing Unreal Tournament LAN parties. It still just plays as amazingly as it did. And
can imagine.
There's no rose-tinted glasses there. It still just holds.
For me, it might be also because I played all the Counter-Strikes and stuff after, but then going back, it was like, oh, this is too janky. It's...
Yeah, well, it's the same with any kind of, it's why there would never be an EVE Classic, right? Or an EVE Old School, because, that would be worse. Look at all of the improvements we've made to this game. Why would you want to go back? And I get it for RuneScape and WoW, that's big nostalgia hits, but
that's also because there's a story that you need to reset.
Yeah,
that's not how New Eden works, and that's the beautiful thing also. Dust wouldn't fit in perfectly with the story right now. Vanguard fits in with the story right now.
Yes. But yeah, I think just honoring that is an important part of what I want to do on this project. And I think, that you wouldn't have such a large fan base of people still going on about a game from 14 years ago if it wasn't something special. And even if it was just something special to them, that's still important enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could right now click our fingers and Dust514 is back and go, ooh.
Yeah.
Don't give them ideas, College.
But there's that doesn't matter. It's that for them it's still really special, right? And it's really exciting as well. And it almost extremely hard is, at FanFest and talking to, at FanFest and even in general, just talking to a lot of VIPs, what did you love about Dust? What's the delta between the two experiences for you? What's the thing that's carrying that nostalgia through to you? And it's annoyingly different from every person you speak to. And I know that's a testament to Dust, but I really wish it was all the same thing.
Yeah, it's just
so we could just go,
I'll put that in.
Oh yeah, brilliant. We'll just lean into that. But every person I speak to is something different. It was, it's just the feeling of this, and it was the mechanics of this. And
so there's definitely a FAQ we could make, which is the common requests. So
Rattati, I didn't play. What the hell is a FAQ?
Oh no, just frequent asked questions list. Just
I was sure FAQ. I was like, okay, so is that a
we have
fast action
RDDs
command vehicle or something like that?
No, we have so many acronyms.
That's old school FAQ.
So yeah. We're gonna make an FAQ. Thank you.
FAQ, sorry.
Yeah.
So I think vehicles for sure, but not everyone cares. 100%. So a lot of people.
Well, they're usually
thought they
a good
hated
idea.
vehicles, wanted vehicle-free game modes, whatever. Yeah. Fun for many. But I think it's just cool to have him also on the battlefield. That to me, why Battlefield is a great game is that it kind of weaves these fantasies between like, sure, I'll die 9 out of 10 times to a tank, but when I kill the tank with my like properly placed missile, like perfect. Like that's a moment for me because I don't care about KD. I just care about like winning individual battles all the time. So for sure, that's kind of like it's authentic, it's fun, it's really cool, it's aspirational, and maybe you get into that playstyle like, okay, it's actually fun flying these dropships or whatever. I think the tactical depth of both vehicle gameplay and these kind of infantry-based game modes was just like, there's a hacking element, there was scanning, there's a lot of strategic and tactical depth that you could kind of go into deep mastery of, like, I'm going to be the best scanning shotgun.
Yeah, so it didn't necessarily need to be like all reflexes, all
there's a lot
gunfight
of
mechanics.
Niche specialization you could do. You could be a knife-only assassin. You could be a sniper. You could be a sniper in a very heavy suit, because that would be better to have like sniper duels is actually armor rather than like being nimble in that sense. You could, I used to do this. I would buy tanks and just use them as delivery mechanisms for me, because I just like fun to do that. Like kind of like that race in the battlefield first session when you have to go claim anything to get as fast as can. So you could do all kinds of like weird stuff. You could like over specialize in really bad fits, like you can do in EVE. Just like, I'm gonna only do like self repair stuff.
Mhm.
It's gonna be terrible. It's not gonna be meta, but it's gonna be my stuff to do. My favorite weapons, etc. So it had a lot of flavor and a lot of like, you could like literally spend time mastering, which is very akin to EVE. You start doing PvE missions, and then you're like, oh, okay, I want to try crafting or do something, or like industry, or actually I'm going to go into trade, and then all of a sudden you're hauling stuff. That's fun. So you can find your niche in playstyle. I think that's something that people talk about, because there's like, you can't really do that in DMZ, COD, Battlefield. Like there's no niche. You just play the classes that are given to you. So I think that's like the freedom, and then customization, drops with fitting. We already had that for weapons. We didn't have any weapon customization in Dust, so we started with that, because that's the hard part. Drops with customization and fitting and adding modules is very easy. It's something we're absolutely going to do. It was always on the list, because it's one of those like 3 things that get asked for. Oh, isn't there going to be drops with customization and fitting? Yes, there will be. It'll be almost exactly like Dust. It'll be very similar to EVE. You have a thing, you add modules to it, whatever if it's high, low slots or whatever, it's going to be that thing.
And you have fitting restrictions in a similar way,
exactly.
based on the size and
And
the
it's
weight and everything like that.
Just like 10 points in COD or whatever. There's just going to be restrictions and choice. It's always going to happen.
Yeah, that DNA's there, right? The DNA of fitting in Dust was through the DNA of EVE. And that DNA is, one of the core pillars for the character in our game from our creative vision is your suit is your ship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to carry through that DNA.
Was Dust the first shooter that had a loadout, basically?
It was one of the first I know
because you always choose classes.
Call of Duty always had like
no, you choose classes there, didn't you?
Something. Pick.
Okay,
but it was the first I knew that had the economy of loss.
Yes, for sure.
What you fitted out, if you died, you lost that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That for me
almost
was
the first extraction shooter. You're saying, like the economy, the risk reward that basically comes with like losing stuff, and that really fits extraction in some way. Like the lobby was an extraction shooter. You could just replenish on the fly the things you lost. You could buy them. Another thing, for example, is the kind of where we are building on things is crafting an industry. We never had anything to do for like harvesting resources or even salvaging of the battlefield, etc. It was just ISK. And you would buy everything from a super static NPC store, like same prices, no differences. Everyone had the access to the same thing, etc. But now and everyone really wanted. Why don't we buy blueprints? And then we make our things. Then we have reasons for people to go explore and salvage, and we could have like salvage tools and whatever. So that's basically what we've done as well. We built that secondary profession under the hood of the NPC store. So we give you blueprints instead of giving you the weapon. So you can actually build those things and you have reasons to craft and work together.
And you have a reason to be something else than just a grindy fighter.
Yes, exactly. And if you're not a great fighter, you can still help your crew by
Or just be
grinding
best
stuff. Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
be best at making stuff.
But it's not like a class thing. It's
No,
not like
you can just do it.
I'm the person who does the salvaging and the mining. Click. It's how you fit yourself out. It's that
Yep.
custom niche, right? And you can be bad at it, right? Like I can make an unoptimal fit, but through that you learn, right?
And let's not forget that when it comes to fitting, the jack of all trades is never going to be very strong. So,
Yeah.
you know, you need the specialization. You need to understand how hardcore can I go on the industry stuff based on the region that I am going into to harvest.
And it's a great way to do a power curve, because then you don't then just make stuff more powerful. You just allow people to be more specialized, right? You'll start off as the jack of all trades, but then the power journey you go on is being able to just be the best at mining because of how specialized you can be. I think that DNA is in it as well, right? We're not making a class-based game. It's, you know, even with the chipsets, with the adaptive weaponry on the Core 80, we added as many chipsets as we can, some that were pretty meaningless, really, just to give a huge kind of spectrum of all of these changes that players can make. So they could make meme builds, and some people made some...
Or just a cheap, okay.
Yeah, like
that's fine.
it's something, it's better than the default.
Yes. Yep.
I'll put it in, and
But in Dust, basically, you would, like, as an advanced player, you would have multiple different fits based on, like, what you needed for the time. You'd have your run-of-the-mill kind of pub fit, but if there was a pesky sniper, if there was a presence of, like, heavies near the objectives,
take something specialized.
you would pick something to take them out.
Yeah.
If there was, like, a HAV, I'll name drop him, Speaker for the Dead, a famous tank driver. You would
Speaker for the Dead. That's one hell of a gamer name.
You would really just, like, I would spend the rest of the battle just trying to kill him. Only that, like, screw the objective, screw everything else, because now, like, that was a legend.
You had an objective now.
Yeah, there's a legend on the field. So I think that is also something that happens in a game like this. Heroes are kind of born. Like names, something like name recognition. This happens in EVE. I can't name a single COD Battlefield player, like, unless there's some kind of famous streamer. But I wouldn't notice. Like, it wouldn't be meaningful.
No, this is also something that I hope gets brought back in many ways, because I remember being. I mean, I think we talked about this sometime, like on EVE, like especially when I was young and I started playing EVE. I remember players that I can name drop, just like you did, you know, that I was literally afraid of, or something like that. And they were in the same universe as me. While, you know, for most shooters, I'll never end up on a server with an esports pro or somebody that's, you know, a bit of a legend, because why on earth would they bother playing me?
Yep.
You know,
it was amazing to see, even from First Strike, starting to get that on Vanguard. I didn't think we would. There were names in the community that already started to crop up. Levi Thunder, for his incredible, you know, commitment to melee, and Ararana for their absolute insane contract runs. And then people were like, "Oh my god, I'm on a server with Ararana!" Like, "Oh, I just got meleeed by Levi Thunder," right? And the fame of some of these things starts to kick in, and it happens because of that persistent universe, right?
And that's like one of the cool things on EVE. It's when you realize that a lot of terms you get taught are actually named after the player that did it first, or something like that, and you don't realize, you know, until you. Yeah, Reddit is a great place that I sometimes read. But
so I think the legends of the game were also born in the kind of, I would say, the main USP of Dust, because sure, social affiliation and being part of the social culture was a big part. Connecting PlayStation, PC games in a live OB, orbital bombardment gameplay, also like a USP, but very seldomly used in reality. It was more like a cool.
It was a
cool
firework.
Cool thing to talk about. But the main USP to me has always been the Planetary Conquest game mode, because that was the territorial conquest kind of mirror to EVE Online, because people could own territory, whether it's worth it or not. It doesn't matter. You could own it, kind of like Eddie Izzard said. Put a flag in it. It's yours. No one can fight you. But that would create these rivalries, these kind of late night, kind of staying up late night you have to fight your commitment battle at 4 a.m. You would wake up, you would play that. You would have ringers, you would call in like super mercenaries if you couldn't fill the roster or you needed to absolutely win someone. So like some actually made their name as legendary mercs that people would call in. And we have these big rivalries between big corporations. I'm going to name like Ancient Exiles, or like there were also, like in EVE, really famous corporations. And that would just create like interesting drama and just conversations. And like this is all pre like social media. Like you couldn't really fight like all the propaganda. So it was all on the forums, basically.
Yeah, because social media is great for propaganda fighting.
Yeah, really good.
It helps a lot.
So that's the thing that I really want. And it also drove, it acted as a big economic sink for the game. It kind of balanced out the game, because you would bring your best to these battles and then you would lose them, maybe, and the victor would take the spoils. So there was always inherent loss in every battle, because everyone would bring their literally best items. So that's very similar to the EVE epic fleet fights, big battles. It's like the loss there is what pulls all the activity before that. It's all the industry needs to happen, all the replenishment of items, inventory, all the logistics of people who just like, how many weapons do we have?
You have to show up prepared.
Yeah, you have to show up prepared. So that is what hasn't been in no other FPS ever. So that's the purest USP, the most important, unique selling point of Dust514 is planetary conquest, territorial ownership, and these kind of rivalries that happen. So that to me is why it's really important to keep the PvP game mode balanced, fun, because that's where that's going to happen eventually in Vanguard. We have to have that best of the best, lose the best gear at the top of the pyramid. That's what pulls a lot of the activity downstream.
When you play test now and play Vanguard, I mean, it's mostly just the PvP now. It's mostly just shooting and and PvE interactions. But what's kind of the stuff that's tickling the Rattati that was playtesting at middle of the night to the Shanghai
2012.
servers?
Yeah, I play a lot. I think what I like is this, I would say, opt-in PvP that can happen. But I also just like, during COVID, I fell like into DMZ. DMZ really worked for me as a game because it could have those thrilling moments of like actual PvP and just like getting hot dropped almost on a rooftop somewhere. It also had these kind of elite enemies that would kind of roam. And it kind of nailed, like it hit the spot on really many levels because it felt exciting every time. But there was also just like a lot of chaff that I could kill and just like practice aiming and practice new weapons, etc., without just like risking it every time or just building from scratch from PUBG. So it really kind of was very similar to where we were going. I think they couldn't figure out, and I'm guessing completely now, how to manage inventory with, the next COD. Like, do you reset this? It's like, so I think they ran into a little bit of like economic management issue. But maybe like participation wasn't good enough. I literally have no idea. I'm just guessing. But that really kind of hit the spot of just like, I can casually just kill PV. I can go after the really difficult hotspots that were in some of the maps where like the best gear was. You would know that there was PvP there. So if you wanted that rush, you could go there. You could solo, you could go with like squads. Like it felt like a lot of freedom was happening there. But nowhere near, like they didn't tap into crafting, resource gathering, etc. But there was something very interesting that like I really feel that we can replicate and are doing right now. Just like I just want my fix. I just want to play sometimes and shoot some enemies, and I don't want to buy whatever's now like hot. I just want to buy my game. I just want that game. And I think this is that's the offering. We want a companion game, EVE Online, that feels like it's just your game forever. It's your live game.
Looking at Operation Nemesis, September 16th, you guys all know the drill by now. I mean, we're talking very grand here on everything that was in Dust that we want to see in Vanguard, and how Vanguard is essentially expanding on that, progressing on those learnings on that universe. But just so we stick to the kind of Operation Nemesis part. Obviously, the game then next major milestone is basically just early access, where most or at least a lot more of those features are emerged. What is it that, as a Dust player or somebody interested in that, what are we going to experience in Operation Nemesis, and what is the feedback that we're looking for? Because there it's all about basically the core gameplay of PvP and PvE, but there's also a bit of story immersion or world immersion.
Yeah, I think for the Dust player, there's still going to be a lot in Operation Nemesis. The new weapons and the ways that you get them, like we talked about, Dust players talking about wanting to be able to manufacture weapons rather than just buy it from a static store, and that's how our manufacturing works. So you can earn limited run blueprints of a certain weapon, so it will allow you to maybe manufacture that weapon 3 times, but if you die and lose it on the surface, you'll have to come back and manufacture another one. But what you can do is you can complete expeditions to earn like permanent run blueprints, so now you have permanent access to be able to manufacture that weapon. So you're not just going out finding a weapon and going, oh, I've got the weapon now. You have to kind of earn it, and then once you've earned that blueprint, you can manufacture that thing. You still have to think about your resource game, because you do need resources to feed in to being able to make more of those weapons. But maybe you're just good enough that you can make a bunch of weapons, you put some chipsets on it, and that's enough for you to survive on the surface without you worried about losing it. But then there's also that structured PvP. We've got that insurgency mode. It's 9v9. That is where you're going to be wanting to take your good gear, right? You can just jump straight into it and ignore the sandbox game if you want, but you're going to have a standard issue Core 80 with no chipsets on it. You're going to have no extra tools in your arsenal because you're not manufacturing it. You're not manufacturing it because you're not going down to the surface to earn or mine or scavenge for the resources. So going through that journey is generally quite exciting in itself. It's like the structured PvP. I can go into it right now, but if I want to be really good at it, if I want to, brutally excel over my enemies, I need to engage in this resource game. I need to go in, I need to kill PvE, I need to engage in the story, I need to engage in these expeditions, I need to earn the blueprints, I need to be able to manufacture them. So you need to go on this journey as a player yourself. But I think any Dust player as well will never say no to just wanting to exist in the universe. So putting them in that universe, putting them on those planets, and having them be part of those stories, those expeditions from Deathless or Sorrow or Sisters of Eve. And even if you're just completing those expeditions, those activities to push the narrative along, some people that'll be motivation enough. Just being in that universe, pushing those stories forward, and being a Vanguard mercenary in New Eden.
Yeah,
And joining Discord, coming to the community, be a part of it, raise your concerns. If there's something missing, like we are there.
Yeah, I think it is in many ways some of the things that I'm kind of most intrigued about when we will be looking through all the feedback that we get from Operation Nemesis will be the feedback from Dust players, and it'll be very interesting to hear. Just is it scratching that itch?
Yep.
Basically. It's
for me, it is for sure, because I because I just see a bit beyond, but like I would say 80% of the things that Dust players that I've talked to and read are covered, not right now, but they're covered in the way we're thinking about it.
Yeah, they're pushing us as well, which is good, and the things that they're pushing us for. Luckily, it's the direction that we're going in, but the details on how we do those things is always improved through feedback. But like social connections and social structures, as well as the thing that always gets asked and the thing that we're always getting pushed on is deeper connections to Eve. That was something they always wanted from Dust.
Yes.
They wanted a
Absolutely.
deeper connection to Eve, a deeper economic connection, and they're pushing us on that. And that is, I think we've talked about in a podcast many moons ago. We talked about how we want to keep building those bridges and those connections economically and mechanically and socially between the two games. So I think it's hard for us to go, yes, you want social structures, we'll knock it up in 2 weeks and get it on. Some of these things are a long tail, and there's a lot of underlying game foundations that we're still having to build before we can get to these systems. But I hope as well, with a lot of the players that I speak to, it feels like as soon as you can kind of show them a bit more of the bigger picture and the direction that we're going in, a lot of them tend to walk away quite happy. It's just we have limited occasions to get out and show the big picture. I think FanFest this year was huge for us to be able to get on stage and say, here's what the game is going to look like in 18 months' time. It's the grandest picture of the game we've ever been able to paint.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to engage with the Dust community around that and hear them go, okay, Bastions, right, this feels like this is what I want. And this, explain that to me, or, social structures and corp affiliation. How does that work? And
that's the problem with like a live service. Anything's theoretically possible, and you could never really predict what's going to happen in an expansion 5-6 years from now. But a lot of things that people asked for 5-6 years ago has come to fruition because either people kept asking for it, or we couldn't do it because of like resources or time or whatever. But a lot of things change, but you couldn't right now predict or tell you if you want to sell someone what's Eve going to be in 3 years. Honestly,
Dominated by me.
I have an inkling of an idea, because every feature in the game has an opportunity, kind of what do you call it, like an angle, or like,
and then the Eve
endless
player
ideas.
has that angle
yes,
on top
yeah,
of it.
exactly.
It's
You're
like,
basically like,
how
I
far
only
can you
care about
stretch?
this, and you're like, okay, but that, like, this needs to happen before that, and etc. So it's very hard, and has been very hard, to kind of explain exactly what Vanguard is, because a lot of people, media and people, are like, okay, but what is Vanguard? Like, what is it?
But
It's
that's
all of these things, and maybe more or maybe less, but it's kind of this, but it's definitely this.
Yeah. And we won't stop.
and
keep
that's
doing
why
this.
we're asking the players, the people that love New Eden, come try this specific part,
Yes.
because we need to know
Is
if
that
we're
good enough?
scratching.
Yes.
Are we scratching your itch here? Is this what you are enjoying? Great. Now let us package that into the next thing.
Yes.
And it's a tight timeline. It's not like we're talking about like test something now that you're going to be playing in 10 years. Like you said, it was an 18-month period that you had there. And it's a lot shorter now.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
It's very ambitious. I would say that it's no
CCP doesn't do unambitious stuff.
exactly.
Mhm.
And, for every person that would say that stuff was too ambitious or whatever, the reason they, were interested in the first place is because CCP does ambitious.
Exactly.
It's pretty simple.
Mhm.
Anything you guys want to add specifically? I thought it maybe something we want to touch on. And I'd actually love to hear a little bit just more about it. Because the connection between Dust and Eve at the time, it was always just basically explained to me as, you can do thing in Eve and thing go boom in Dust.
Mm-hmm.
And you would need to coordinate it. You need to be at the right place, right time, everything like that. Like you said earlier, maybe more of a showpiece, didn't get used that much by players. But one should start mentioning economy. One should start mentioning standings or power or shifts of that nature. Something that tips the balance a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like something that is, in many ways, more interesting than being able to blow something up for the larger New Eden community.
Yes, exactly. Because you're basically trying to
We were
connect-
literally asked to do a podcast on taxes the other day.
Yeah.
So if somebody raging a war on a planet is going to change the economy in some way, that's got to get people interested.
So I think you're always looking for it's almost passing the baton between two games. Like they're going to be moving at different speeds. Like one is more of a shooter, more frantic, second to second, and then you have this kind of longer gameplay in Eve, higher stakes, short lifespan. It's kind of like elephants and hummingbirds or whatever. Like they're different creatures.
Can you factually tell me how long hummingbirds live?
I was guessing. I'm gonna change it to fruit flies.
I might
elephants and fruit
Google
flies.
something.
So what is it that connects them? Like there's something. Sorry, I'm moving. Like a watering hole, like something that brings people together, like in an ecosystem where things happen, and they create opportunities for each other. Elephant dies. Okay, I'll change my fruit fly to some kind of like worm.
I mean, a fruit fly could feast on an elephant, I guess.
Yeah, so like there's something that connects, but they're not like literally fighting, like the worm and the elephant. And this feels like now a James Acaster story. Anyway, we're trying to find opportunities to link those two together because one has a smaller economy, like dealing in weapons, dealing in clothes, dealing in grenades, and one is dealing in spaceships. And these are different currencies, and the pilots of Eve are way richer, so we can't just give them like ISK. And that's basically one big lesson from Dust was you can't connect them on the currency. That will break everything. We also don't connect them on like, hey, I found like a spaceship hull here. Do you want to buy it? That's not going to work either because
I'm not going to carry that back.
Yeah, you can't just salvage it. Like, hey, what is it that's interesting? What's interesting is information. It's sabotage. It's these kind of indirect actions that when they all come together, they're going to have impact on Eve. So contracts, for example, are this kind of like a little atom of interchange. You complete a contract, and we can say like if you complete 100 contracts, this now happens in Eve because enough people did it to make it meaningful in Eve. 100 people, 100 soldiers can move the needle, and that's what insurgency is. It's completing contracts that change the game a little bit, move the needle in a tug of war. But what could create items for Eve where Eve is interested and Vanguard players just kind of did it. They didn't really find it, but they contributed to it. In some way, they could say these contracts, they suppress mercenary den. What do you call it? Forgot the name of it. So they make mercenary dens go up, like the mercenary dens become more chaotic, more regulated or whatever.
Wow.
Yes.
It left me as well.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, more chaotic.
Yes. More lawful, more chaotic. Let's use the words. So we could basically have that happen. We could influence a thing that already exists. Planetary conquest, faction warfare. In Dust was also kind of manipulated.
Planetary conquest.
Faction warfare. Dust players could affect planetary faction warfare. Sorry. So there was a little bit of connection there. But there's not really any meaning between those two, and the Dust player didn't really see any like results of it. They just did stuff, and something happened. So we're trying to create this feedback loop where you actually see what happened. But one of the most important things is to appreciate from the Vanguard side that you are in the universe. So the star map is super important for us to show like you are in New Eden.
Yeah.
And things are happening. And you could theoretically see events happening, like borders changing or something, just by listening to Eve and showing it. So that immediately makes you feel like as a bigger part of, or a part of a bigger universe, which is not fake then. Like you could fake stuff like this in Destiny or whatever, just like, oh, the world is always changing and have NPCs do stuff. But this would be actual results of people doing things. So I think I lost my train of thought anyway. So I think that's where we can take the game, is more links like this, but they have to be crafted. They have to be small. They have to be managed. We have to have like really good controls of like affecting the economy. So events are really good because events are time limited. We try something. If it didn't work, let's say we oversupply something, like it will fix itself in a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months. But we can treat Vanguard as a faucet for some kinds of items that are interesting to EVE players.
And vice versa, I guess.
And vice versa. By just creating a contract that's like, sabotage this thing, and then like that obviously makes them appear here in some smuggler contraband or something. Like that just happens. We stole a lot of stuff here, and now it appears here. We used POCOs. Like you could have items just appear in NPC POCOs in EVE, and you just have to loot them or kill them or blow them up. So there's infinite ways to experiment.
I'm always waiting for somebody to need a ship in EVE to fly my stuff between the battlefields of Vanguards. All these kind of things. It can go both ways.
And freelance goals, freelancing that was introduced in Legion, is a huge, like, the reason why we invested in it, because it's really good as a feature, and it really makes, we built it to create a social connection between new players and veterans. So they would create freelance goals for new players to kind of do instead of NPC missions. But we have always planned this feature to be a way to interact with Vanguard, to create missions on behalf. And you would basically say, let me tell a little story. Let's say a kill mail is created yesterday. And we say, okay, there's a blueprint here that I want. There's nothing stopping me from saying, I want to create a mission. I want this blueprint, or I want this implant recovered. And if you pay some ISK, or like, what do you call it? Escrow to get this, we issue that contract over to Vanguard. And the contract doesn't have to say, like, get this implant for this person. It just says complete this exploration, salvage, game mode, or whatever. And if that happens, if someone does that mission, you get your reward. But there's some kind of connection between those two. And it can be async, and that's really important. Like synchronous gameplay between the fruit fly and the elephant isn't really smart. It's going to be very hard to balance. But if we can create async gameplay through contracts, that's the kind of language that we want to establish between the games.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Thank you for that insight. I learned a lot, at least.
Biology.
Yeah, I have not answered the biggest question of this show, which is that hummingbirds have an average lifespan of 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, which finds like when you think about it, it's a very broad average lifespan.
Very long.
When you look at how long they live,
yeah.
It's like 50% of your life is your average lifespan, So that's interesting, and for balancing terms, elephants up to 70. So the important stuff is there. The last important biology bit I want to tell people about is to make sure that they have time off around September 16th. You can do that. It's probably too late for maternity leave or paternity leave. But you could go, get sick or something like that. I might need to Google how that works.
You can get paternity leave in some countries when you adopt, and that might be a quicker process. So if you get it going now, you might be able to adopt a child and get paternity leave in time for September 16th.
There's also just train of thought. We really need to announce early access exact dates with like at least 9 months.
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
Yeah.
We got you.
Anyway, September 16th is when Operation Nemesis kicks off. Awesome, guys. This was great. I hope you guys at home liked it as well. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
thanks for
listening.